doesn't matter if you're bugging out, find yourself in a disaster, trying to get home, or you're in this situation where maybe you're Jeeping and your Jeep breaks down. Certain items you want to have with you at all times that will save your life. Here's 9 items. Take notes. Go through this. It very well may save your life. Number 1, knives. Always, always have knives. Everywhere you go. I keep a folded knife in my pocket, everyday carry, always. But if I have a backpack or a car or my Jeep, I always have fixed blade knives too. This is definitely the way to go, by the way, because we use them for survival. We use them for even just cutting open boxes, but I use it tactically also as a weapon if need be. I'll link these below if you want to pick these up. But either way, I mean, I even like just like the inexpensive Gerber knives. They're fantastic. Something else too is having the multi-tools. I have lots of multi-tools and I always have one with me too. So have lots of knives and multi-tools and it'll get you out of a jam and possibly save your life. Number 2, shelter. I mean, it can be as easy as simply having a hat, something over your head to keep the water off. Often when I'm out in the woods, I carry my military boonie with me. It's amazing how it keeps you dry. But having emergency blankets is always a good thing, keep them with you. Even more so, emergency ponchos, fantastic. Because I'll tell you, you don't know when you're gonna get rescued. In fact, if we're talking about like some major disaster, you may not get rescued. And if you find yourself out in the woods or hiking home and you're getting totally soaked from rain, it's a bad thing. In addition, have a bivy, have a life tent. These things are worth their weight in gold for the fact that when you're trying to sleep, trying to keep warm at night, as you're trying to take a few days getting back home again, are worth their weight in gold. And again, will save your life. Number 3, first aid. Definitely want to have a first aid kit. I honestly love these little prepackaged kits you can get. Super easy. But there's certain things I always keep in here, like for example, EMT shears. But even more importantly, you always want to make sure you have a cat tourniquet. Will save your life. And an Israeli bandage. Huge. Now I'll link 1 or 2 below again, but there's so many different kits out there. You can really pick whichever one you want, but obviously will save your life because medically speaking, it will make it so you stop hemorrhaging or, maybe you have some serious trauma, but a first aid kit is absolutely essential. Number 4 is communications, and I certainly don't mean your cell phone. I mean, having your cell phone and a way to keep it charged up is good, but if we're talking about a major disaster, your cell phone will do nothing for you. Even if the cell towers are functioning, they're gonna shut you off because they need it for emergency purposes. So have some kind of radio. I love my Baofeng ham radios. They're fantastic. Even if you just use them as walkie-talkies, you can actually use it for emergency purposes, even without a license. Fantastic stuff. They're inexpensive, charge really well. I always have these with me, and my family has them too. So that way, if we do get separated, whatever the case may be, within a certain distance, obviously, we can keep in touch. Secondly, have some kind of crank radio. The crank radios are great because, emergency, at least weather, what's coming in. If you have a couple days you're trying to hike home after a disaster, you want to know when the rain's coming. And be able to hear, as far as like maybe there's like some chemicals or nuclear heading a certain direction, you want to make sure you're not in that path. So having radios and communications, absolutely essential. Number 5, navigation. So important. Do not neglect this one. Now, at the very least, I take all the stuff and put it into like a Ziploc type bag, keep it sealed so it doesn't get wet. And I always put for me, I live in Michigan, a map of the state of Michigan. Granted, it's a big map, but it has everything as far as like major locations and towns. And it's nice because they're free. Just go to your local visitors bureau and pick one up. I pick up a few, keep them in my bags, keep them in my pack, so I'm good to go. Now, if I'm going to a certain area, especially if it's out of state, but even if it's a certain direction and I know basically, the terrain I'm going to be going into, I take my huge topographical map and I make photocopies. And I put those in there as well. And that way you can write on it, note where everything's at, know where the towns are at, where the streams are at, etc. In addition, I always have a pen in case I want to write notes on those pieces of paper, but I also have a Sharpie in case I need to write some kind of note and put it on a windshield of a car to let my family know where I'm at, etc. Lastly, you want to make sure you have a compass. Now, I have a lot of really nice compasses, but in these little packs, I just simply have a little pancake compass. They work incredibly well. They are totally accurate, and this will work just fine to be able to make it so you know where you're needed to go. In reality, guys, you're not looking at, in most cases, heading off in the wilderness where you need a sophisticated compass. No, you're simply just heading down roads and highways trying to, in this case, obviously, get home after disaster. Number 6, fire starting. At the very least, keeping warm. And in emergency situations, there's nothing like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee to keep you going. So having ways to start fires, there's so many things, even drying out your clothes. In all our bags, every single one of my kids, every one of our packs, we have an entire fire kit. These fire kits are awesome, by the way, but you can see how big it is. You don't necessarily have to have this whole kit, but the kit is broken up into 2 things. First, at the top, we have the ways of starting a fire. Okay, we'll look at that in a second. Then this is like kindling and fire starters like wax and lint and stuff. That's good stuff too. But this is the one I want to show you. Because when we're talking about starting a fire, I mean, people love their flint and steel. They love their magnesium fire starters. So do I. But in a real emergency situation, still have that. Having just a simple lighter will work very well. I always take these lighters and I put a rubber band down around it, so that way it basically makes it so it won't press and waste all your butane. And then in most of the cases, I have a lighter that has duct tape around it as well. This is one of those torch lighters. I'll tell you, in the comparison between these two, these torch lighters are amazing in making it so you can really start a fire. The duct tape, obviously you can tape stuff up medically speaking, maybe your pack, maybe your shoe, but it also works as a great fire starter too. But again, there's another rubber band to keep it so it doesn't waste all your butane. I also have matches. There's my magnesium fire starter, and then of course I have all the other stuff inside that bag too. In addition, you're going to want to find a way to at least heat water or possibly cook some little broth or soup you're making on your trip. So in here, I always keep a camping worthy canister. I say that because if you use stuff from like your kitchen, campfire will mess it up quickly. But inside here, it has everything I need. And what I mean by that, not only does it have like a cup for drinking, but I always keep inside of here a little stove, which is great. I like bigger stoves for like backpacking, like my Biolite, but these little stoves and some fuel tablets will do really well in warming up your food, warming up your water, or whatever you need to. But notice in that pack, as well as that can, has everything I need to start a fire and to cook. Number 7, hydration is essential. You must have fresh water continuously. And I know everybody and their brother says to get a little LifeStraw. I have them too. But you know, that makes it so you have to sit by a stream and suck on the water. I don't like that so much. And I have some really sophisticated water filters for backpacking, like my Katadyn filters. They are second to none. They're fantastic. But I also love things like this. This is a LifeStraw, by the way, and I have some Katadyn ones like this as well. But what's nice about this is it has the LifeStraw hooked up right here. You just take this, go to your nearby creek, scoop it up and fill it full of water, put this in, and then it makes it so you can actually drink the water on the go, and off you go, getting now fresh filtered water. So important. And I like it because I could put it in here. I mean, having a second canister to hold extra water is good, but stopping often and getting water is going to keep you going, because I'll tell you, out of all the things that's going to mess with you, dehydration will kill you. So you got to make sure you stay very hydrated and have a good filter that's actually easily usable on your trip home or wherever you're going. Number 8 is light. Having some kind of light is essential. Again, can save your life. Even though right now the sun's on me, at night when you're trying to bunk down and try to sleep, you have no idea what's coming at you in the woods. And we sleep in the woods a lot. There's a lot of creepy things out there, if you know what I mean. So I love my rechargeable flashlights, which are great. I do this and have a rechargeable source to it, like a little solar panel I take with me. But these are great, super, super bright. But honestly, brightness is not always what you want. I want it sometimes. But sometimes you want it dim. You don't want to give away your position and let people know you're at. So having a dimmable light too. Also having a very durable, dependable headlamp. I mean, sometimes I have headlamps that clip on my ball cap, which is great, but I prefer the ones that go around my head in case, depending on the hat I have on. But having a light like this, and this one actually has different colors on it too, so that way I can actually see better in the dark. For example, sometimes you can get ones that have red lights, and if you can use red light at night, it's even better, because that way your eyes don't get blinded, and as soon as you turn the light off, you can still see. If you use any other spectrum, especially white light, you'll look what you're looking at, turn off the light, and you're like, I can't see anything anymore. Red light, your eyes don't adjust, which is fantastic. So have lots of lights, especially some type of headlamp, so you can work in the dark if you need to. And finally, so important, have some type of cordage. I love paracord. I really am in love with that stuff. Paracord is fantastic. But I also have what a lot of people don't mention are Carabineers. Now, these are not for climbing. I have some really simple ones that which just move. I have some that you can actually connect together. I'll tell you, when you're actually using paracord for whatever reason and knowing how to tie knots, that's a great thing. But the Carabineers make it so easy. In fact, I usually have a couple things of paracord, and I usually have multiple Carabineers for whatever I need it for. Cordage is really important. Along with duct tape too, you need to be able to bind things, carry things, and paracord does that for you. So there's 9 things, guys. Obviously other things you want to have too, like firearm if you can. Having some food, sure. That's kind of like almost like self-explanatory having those things. But I gave you 9 things that will literally save your life if you find yourself out in a situation like in the woods, trying to get home, a natural disaster, etc. I want to know, though, what would you add to the list? I'm very curious. Put it in the comments below. And, by the way, all these things are linked below in case you want to check them out. Always add them to your list. And, by the way, guys, keep prepping because time is short. Really bad times are coming, and we want to be ready for any type of situation and emergency. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.